Welcome back, everybody. Today we're doing a deep dive on something pretty interesting. We're going to be talking about how companies are using games, like
Yeah.
video games, as
Yeah.
marketing tools.
Yeah, like serious marketing goals too, right?
Yeah.
It's crazy how fast this is all developing.
Right.
We found this super interesting article, Games to Build Relationships with Your Customers.
Mm.
It really gets into like how games have gone from this niche thing to like a legitimate marketing strategy.
Yeah, and you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
There are like 3 billion digital gamers in the world. That's almost half the planet.
It's wild. You can't ignore those numbers. I mean, think about the reach for brands.
Yeah.
It's massive. And it's not just about the numbers. Games aren't just simple entertainment anymore.
Right.
They're these massive ecosystems where people are spending so much time, like they're building communities, they're forming deep connections with each other.
Okay, so we get that.
Mhm.
People are passionate about their games, but we're talking about brands here.
Right.
How are they using all of this engagement to actually achieve marketing goals?
Well, for one, it's a goldmine for customer acquisition,
Okay.
especially for reaching younger demographics. Think about it. Gen Z, millennials, they're spending way less time on traditional media.
So brands are going where the eyeballs are, right?
Exactly.
Are there any, examples that come to mind?
Oh, tons.
Mm-hmm.
For example, there's Balenciaga, the fashion house. They created this whole virtual experience called Afterworld
Okay.
to showcase their new collection. Basically, it was like players could walk a virtual runway show, totally immersed in like the Balenciaga aesthetic.
Okay, so that's pretty high-end, though.
Right.
Like Balenciaga, what about, normal brands? Are they doing stuff too?
Yeah, absolutely. They're finding some really cool ways to leverage this, like L'Oreal.
Okay.
They've been doing stuff on platforms like Roblox and
Yeah.
Ready Player Me. Players can customize their avatars with makeup, beauty products. But what's cool is they're not just like replicating real world products.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's digital first, It resonates with that younger audience more.
I mean, it's obviously working, right? Our source article mentions how e.l.f. Beauty, they saw a huge amount of users from their Roblox experience actually convert into members of their real-world loyalty program.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
It is.
That's how you build loyalty.
Right.
And you drive those sales.
It's the whole package.
Yeah.
And it's not just them. Like Roblox especially.
Right.
It's become this hub for brands.
Mhm.
Our source, it has a whole table listing a bunch of different brands. You got
Yeah.
Walmart, IKEA, Vans, Adidas.
Wow. That's crazy. I mean, it seemed like any brand could get in on this.
That's the cool thing about it, right?
Yeah.
The platform is so versatile. It lends itself to so many different marketing strategies.
But it's got to be more than just like slapping a logo on a billboard in a game, right?
Totally.
How are brands creating experiences that are actually like engaging players?
You've hit it right on the head.
Yeah.
It can't be passive advertising. Think about Lego.
They've had partnerships with Fortnite, PlayStation. They create these amazing in-game experiences. It's all built around Lego's core values.
Okay.
Creativity, building. It all fits naturally within the game's mechanics.
Yeah.
So it feels organic, it's fun for the player,
Yeah.
and it resonates with like a massive audience.
Like taking the game's popularity and using that to their advantage, right?
Exactly.
Like they're integrating your message in a way that's not disruptive.
Right.
It actually makes the experience better. This isn't a new idea, though, is it?
No, not at all. Brands have been experimenting with this kind of stuff for like decades. Remember that Kellogg's Mission Nutrition game?
No, vaguely, yeah.
It was all about healthy eating for kids, but disguised as a game,
Back when the internet was a different place, though, right?
Totally.
What about now? What are some more recent examples where brands have done this really well?
I mean, a perfect example is the New York Times buying Wordle.
Wordle, yeah.
They took that incredibly popular word game and like seamlessly integrated it into their NYT Games app.
Okay.
And boom, huge jump in downloads and subscribers.
It's crazy how it went from this little word game to a customer acquisition machine.
It really is. It shows you how a good gaming strategy can impact a brand's entire business, not just attracting customers.
Attention.
Yeah.
The holy grail of marketing.
Exactly. It's not just about getting them in the door, it's about keeping them there.
Yeah. And it seems like games are just perfectly set up to do just that,
You know.
to keep people engaged.
Right. People invest so much time, energy, and money even.
Yeah.
They build relationships, they compete. It's this deep level of engagement that you just don't see with most traditional marketing.
So it's not just about entertainment anymore.
No.
It's about building real relationships
Exactly.
between players and brands. I'm starting to see the potential here.
It's a whole new way of thinking about marketing.
Yeah.
Games aren't just a sideshow anymore. They are the main stage.
Okay, we've seen how the big names are finding success.
Right?
But what about, like, companies who are just starting out with this?
Right.
Where did they even begin?
Well, I think the first step is kind of a mental one. You got to get rid of the idea that gaming is just for kids or that it's just some small hobby.
Yeah.
It's mainstream, huge audiences, billions of people.
Okay, so a company realizes that, hey, this is big, we should be doing something.
Right.
Where do they even start?
Well, our article, it recommends this crawl, walk, run approach.
Okay.
You start small, right?
Yeah.
You experiment, you learn, and then as you get more comfortable, you start to scale up your efforts.
Okay, so you're not just diving in head first without knowing what you're doing.
Exactly. Exactly.
What does crawl look like?
So, like, at the most basic level, it could just be, like, putting ads in games that already exist.
Got it.
Partnering with a game developer, maybe doing a small in-game event.
Okay.
The point is to test the waters, see how your target audience is reacting.
To get some data.
Exactly.
Okay. Then you move on to walk.
Right, so now you're starting to experiment a bit more,
Okay.
trying different types of games, different advertising formats,
Mm-hmm.
really trying to, like, refine who you're targeting.
Okay.
It's all about finding that sweet spot, where your brand and the gamers, like, they just click.
Yeah, it's about finding the right fit
Yes.
for your brand.
Exactly.
This sounds like it takes a lot of testing.
Oh, yeah, it definitely does. But the information you get from that, that's super valuable. And then once you feel like, okay, we get this, we know what works, then you move to run.
Okay, now you're going all in.
Right. So this is where brands are, like, really investing,
Mm-hmm.
Big in-game advertising campaigns, developing really complex in-game experiences, maybe even making their own games.
Okay, like full on.
Right.
Any examples of brands that are in that run phase?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like Nike, their partnership with Fortnite was huge.
Okay.
They made these virtual sneakers that players could buy for their avatars. It was like a massive success. It showed how much potential there is for brands to sell digital stuff in these virtual worlds.
People are actually spending real money
Yeah.
on, like, digital clothes.
Oh, totally. I mean, there was a Gucci handbag that sold on Roblox for more than its real-life counterpart.
That's wild. Like, the digital version is worth more than the real thing.
It is. It shows how these lines are blurring, The physical and the digital are becoming, like, this one thing.
So it's not even just about marketing anymore.
Right.
It's about coming up with new ways of doing business.
Yeah. New revenue streams, completely new models.
Okay.
And gaming is at the heart of it all. It's not just a way to market. It's like a testing ground for the future of, like, business itself.
Mm-hmm.
As we move more and more online, the skills you learn from gaming, those are going to be super valuable.
Okay.
I mean, think about it.
What about AI? AI
It's-
is everywhere now.
Yeah, AI is going to be a big deal for making these experiences, like, truly personalized and engaging.
Okay. So AI is going to make these games even better.
Potentially. But it's not just about, like, making the games better for the player. Right, think about it.
Yeah.
This is also giving brands so much power, right?
Yeah.
They're going to be able to collect tons of data on how we play, what we like, all that.
It's like, what does this mean for us, as players?
Right.
We've talked about what brands get out of it.
Mm-hmm.
What about us?
Yeah, I think that's a super important question. Like, as brands get more involved in our games, we got to be careful.
Yeah, I mean, this could all backfire.
Oh, totally.
What are, like, some of the downsides?
Well, one thing is, like, too much, Yeah.
Yes.
If every single brand is trying to cram itself into our games, it's going to get annoying, right?
Yeah. It's like, imagine you're trying to play a game.
Right.
And you're just bombarded with ads everywhere you look.
Exactly. You can't escape it. It just ruins the whole experience.
It takes away from why you're playing the game in the first place,
I
right?
feel it.
It's supposed to be fun. What else?
The big one is data privacy, right? Like,
Yeah.
all this data that these companies are collecting, how are they using it? Are they protecting it? These are big questions.
Oh, we have to be smart, right?
Yeah,
Not just when we're shopping, but when we're playing games, too.
exactly. It's like, we got to be informed, read the privacy policies, be picky about which brands we trust.
I think that's really good advice.
Thanks.
It's easy to get excited about the technology,
Yeah.
about the games themselves, but we can't forget about, the bigger picture here.
It's all about finding that balance,
Yeah.
between like the cool stuff that this tech can do, the fun we have playing games, but also like making sure we're not giving up too much. Like we still have control over our own experience, right?
Yeah.
That's what really mattered.
Okay, well, we've gone deep on games as marketing tools.
We have.
Any final thoughts before we wrap up? Any, like, big questions our listeners should be thinking about?
I would say, like, think about the games you love to play, right?
Yeah.
And ask yourself, how could brands use this game to connect with me, you know, in a way that feels authentic, like they get me, and it actually adds to my experience, not take away from it.
That's a great question. It makes you think, right,
It does.
about how brands fit into our digital lives.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time.